My mother, came here to America with the two of us, my sister and I, towed beneath her arms. Life back home in Puerto Rico in the 1950s was difficult, with little to eat and no jobs. I remember in the car driving towards the airport, the trees canopying over us. It was beautiful. And we drove on through the sugarcane fields where my grandfather used to work, cutting sugar canes with a machete he'd sharpen every night before he went to bed. 1959 was the year we left that little island, not to return for years later when my sister and I were adults. The plane seemed huge and I was terrified, remembering all the stories I'd heard of plane crashes and all those people dying. My mother held me close and ushered us on. New York City, here we are. It was snowing that day. I said to my mother, "Mom, are the stars falling?" She just laughed. Here we were, New York City, America the Beautiful. 3 more immigrants, where millions had come before and continue to come, in search of freedom, to make a living, to survive. I had never experienced trees without leaves, ice on the trees, on the street, on the floor, or a language I had never heard before. Our first apartment was a furnished room, and as the word says, it was furnished. It had a big bed where my mother, my sister, and I slept, a small little table in the small kitchen, and the bathroom was outside in the hall where everyone in that complex shared. We moved a lot those first 5 years, from borough to borough, from building to building, from school to school. My mother always looking for a better place for us to live. That first year after arriving here, I remember dreaming of a train that would take me all the way back across the ocean where I came from, and that I could travel back and forth as much as I wanted. I dreamt of walking along the paveless road and picking a ripe mango off a tree on my way to school. I felt carefree, I felt happy. I longed to be back where I felt I belonged, even if it was just for a little bit, even if the streets were not paved, or we had no running water, nor a TV. That was home, and I missed it so much. If it was difficult for me that first year, I missed my little island so much. Imagine how difficult it must have been for my mother. She would leave for work very early in the morning, before I or my sister awoke. She worked in a factory far away, 6 days a week. She was only 25 and I 8. She was skinny. She was always tired. No, she was exhausted. But she always got up at dawn and returned at dusk. My sister and I loved the weekend because we could spend time with our mom. She would get home with her hair and in her nostrils always covered in different colors depending on the fabric she was sewing that day at the factory that she worked. She told me it was called piecework, a few cents for each piece of fabric she hemmed. Saturdays was a happy day for my sister and I. We went with her to her factory. We'd sweep the floors and fold the finished pieces that the women sewed, all Spanish immigrants. My sister, after a while, she was only 7, tired, would fall asleep between the layers of cloth on the floor. On Saturday nights, she'd be up till the wee hours of the morning. I would hear the sewing machine going all night. In the morning, we'd wake up to find 2 beautiful dresses by our beds that she had sewed with pieces of leftover fabric that she got from her job. I recall the days when she'd come home from work under heavy falling snow. She'd be frozen and shivering with ice between her stockings. I'd quickly warm up water to dip her feet in. There were times, though, when in the cold she wore no stockings at all. There wasn't enough money for that. Mom saved every penny she could for our school tuition, and although she only went to the 2nd grade in the 1940s, because she had to quit school in order to work, and although she didn't know how to read or write Spanish that much, she wanted us to have a good Christian education. She was tough, and she was a strict disciplinarian. She taught us to respect everyone and be compassionate of others. Strong, like pebbles that have been smoothed by time and sand. My mother struggled hard to make ends meet. She worked year in and year out without any type of benefits, without any vacation. I don't ever remember her taking a day off, but this made her strong and resilient. English was forbidden in her home. Once, she asked me a question, and I automatically responded in English. I was becoming acculturated. At my response, she quickly turned to me, and I saw the pain in her eyes. She adamantly said, "In this house, you speak Spanish." I didn't understand why, but I obeyed. Now I know her fear. She was afraid we'd lose our heritage, our culture, our language. Mom taught us to have morals and values, and culture, it burned passionately in her heart. After many years of struggle, alone, she finally reached the American dream. She bought a house for us. The house where she still lives in after 54 years. Her will states, "This house cannot be sold." And I understand why. This old house holds many memories. Memories of struggles, of accomplishments, of my adolescence. Memories of mine and my sister's graduation from college, where my sister's children and mine were born. Memories of her youth and her aging. Memories of neighbors long gone. Because of her example and her strength, both my sister and I work to provide services for others, her a social worker and I a teacher. Mother now at 75, and after 2 heart attacks, unable to walk without a cane, still holds that burning passion to keep going and helping others. Recently, she rushed her 84-year-old friend to the hospital. Mother got off the cab with her friend and smartly walked her through the ambulance entrance. She saw a wheelchair and immediately sat her down and pushed her all the way up the ramp. She saved her life. Her friend, Meche, was suffering a stroke. At 75, she still volunteers in church events and activities. She will not stay home. Her strength and her passion for what she believes in, her compassion for others, made us who we are today. Thank you, Mother, for your hard work and perseverance, and for loving us unconditionally. Mother, if I never told you so, I want to tell you now. I love you. You are the wind beneath my wings.